If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback and one of the sharpest minds to ever read a defense, has added his voice to the growing list of analysts weighing in on Shedeur Sanders' surprising tumble to the 5th round of the NFL draft. And let me tell you, his take is making waves across the league. In a conversation with Jim Rome, Warner didn't hold back. He was genuinely impressed by what he saw on tape. He called Shedeur the most accurate quarterback in this year's class. Think about that for a second. Not just top 5. Not just top 3. They're most accurate. That's a massive statement coming from a guy who made a living by putting the ball exactly where it needed to be. Warner's words weren't hype. They were grounded in film study and deep quarterback knowledge. He didn't just glance at a few highlights. He studied the tape, and what he saw blew him away. Now, before we get carried away, Warner was also clear. Shedeur Sanders isn't flawless. Let's not paint him as the second coming of Tom Brady. Just yet. He's a rookie, and like all rookies, especially at the quarterback position, there's a learning curve. Warner pointed out that Shedeur still has areas to clean up, and that's totally fair. No one enters the league as a finished product. Even Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions his rookie year. The key takeaway here isn't that Shedeur is perfect, but that his foundation is solid. His footwork, his composure in the pocket, and most importantly, his accuracy are all NFL ready. Warner sees those traits and believes Sanders has a legitimate shot at being successful in the league. That's not coach speak or generic analyst chatter. That's a Hall of Famer putting his stamp on a kid who's been doubted since draft. 9. And let's be real, this isn't just about tape or combine stats. This is about a narrative, a perception that's been building for months. Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to fall to day 3. He was talked about as a potential second round pick, maybe even sneaking into the late first depending on team needs. But then came the questions. Was he a product of the Colorado hype machine? Was he really tested in that offense? Did NFL scouts hold his father's shadow over him? We'll never fully know. But what we do know now is that Sanders is walking into the NFL with a chip on his shoulder the size of a linebacker, and with voices like Kurt Warner's giving him public backing, that chip just might turn into fuel. What's really fascinating is the situation Shedeur is stepping into with the Cleveland Browns. This isn't some rebuilding franchise with no direction. This is a team that has been knocking on the playoff door and has serious expectations. And now, the quarterback room is one of the most compelling in the entire league. You got Joe Flacco, the wily veteran with a Super Bowl MVP under his belt, still slinging it at age 40. You got Kenny Pickett, a former first-rounder, trying to revive his career after things didn't quite click in Pittsburgh. Then there's Dylan Gabriel, another rookie who had a strong college career and isn't just here to be a camp arm. And finally, you have Shedeur Sanders, accurate, composed, and out to prove everyone wrong. That's not just a competition. That's a quarterback gauntlet. For a guy like Sanders, though, this might be the perfect setup. There's pressure, sure, but there's also opportunity. He's not being thrown into the fire like some rookie. Quarterbacks who are forced to start on day 1 with no help. He can learn from Flacco, compete with Pickett, and sharpen his skills every day. Warner's confidence in him isn't just about talent, it's about the situation too. He even said he's excited to see how the Browns quarterback room plays out, which tells you that this is going to be a real battle. And don't be surprised if Shedeur, with that pinpoint accuracy and calm demeanor, rises to the top quicker than people expect. It's also important to note that Warner isn't exactly known for throwing around compliments lightly. This is a guy who went undrafted himself, who bagged groceries before becoming a league MVP. He knows what it's like to be overlooked. So when he sees something in Shedeur Sanders, it hits different. It means he sees a little bit of that same underdog spirit. And that matters because in a league where so much of success is about mindset and resilience, having someone like Warner believe in you is more than just flattering. It's validating. It tells us that the fall to the 5th round might not have been a fall at all, but a misread by front offices who are going to be kicking themselves in a couple of years. And let's talk about Browns fans for a second. This is a fan base that has lived through quarterback chaos for decades. From Couch to Quinn to Manziel to Mayfield, it's been a carousel. But there's something different brewing here. The team is solid in the trenches. The defense is legit. And now they've got a potential hidden gem at quarterback. If Sanders develops the way Warner believes he can, we could be looking at a major turning point in Cleveland. Imagine a future where Shedeur Sanders becomes the guy, accurate, cool under pressure, a locker room leader. The city would rally around him in a heartbeat, and for the first time in a long time, there'd be real hope behind center in Cleveland, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. It's still May. Training camp is weeks away. Oh, there's a long road between here and week 14, and even longer to determine who wins the starting job and whether Shedeur will be in uniform or clipboard mode. Still, these early signs, Warner's endorsement, the buzz from camp, and the hunger Sanders brings are all positive indicators. They suggest that this fifth-round steal storyline might just be the beginning of something much bigger. And as history has shown us, quarterbacks with chips on their shoulders and talent to match, they tend to surprise everyone. So keep an eye on Cleveland, folks. The national media might still be focused on the big-name rookies like Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, but Shedeur Sanders is quietly becoming one of the most intriguing players to watch. If he starts stringing together strong preseason performances and shows command in practice, the narrative is going to shift fast. And when you got a Hall of Famer like Kurt Warner already in your corner, the sky's the limit. Whether Sanders becomes the Browns' long-term answer or simply pushes the room to be better, his presence is already shaping the future of this team in ways that go far beyond what we saw on draft night. In the end, the NFL is about proving people wrong. It's about taking the doubt, the criticism, and the low draft grades and turning them into fuel. Shedeur Sanders is walking into the league with that exact mission. And with voices like Kurt Warner already saying he's not a fifth-round prospect, the story is already starting to flip. What happens next is up to Shedeur. But if he keeps throwing the ball like he did at Colorado, and if he learns fast under Cleveland's veteran leadership, then we may look back on this draft and say, how did they let him fall that far? One thing's for sure, this QB competition in Cleveland just became must-watch football. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. It's a bombshell that's shaking the NFL world to its core, and especially the Cleveland Browns locker room. If you've been paying attention to the swirling rumors, you might have sensed something was off in Cleveland, but nothing prepared us for this. Myles Garrett, the Browns' defensive juggernaut and one of the most respected voices in that organization, has allegedly made a declaration that's sending shockwaves through fans and analysts alike. He will no longer take the field with Deshaun Watson. That's right. According to insiders close to the situation, Garrett has drawn a hard line. And folks, this isn't just another petty locker room spat. This feels bigger. This feels like a fracture in the very foundation of a team that was supposed to contend in the AFC. Let's dive into what we know, how this could have happened, and what it means for the Browns moving forward. The tension didn't just explode. Overnight, there were whispers during the offseason that something was off in the Browns camp. Practices lacked chemistry. Post-game interviews felt more like damage control than celebration. And more than once, you could read between the lines of Garrett's body language. And now, those whispers have turned into a roar. Multiple sources, some even inside the locker room, have confirmed that Garrett has privately expressed his unwillingness to share the field with Deshaun Watson ever again. The two stars reportedly had a falling out that extends far beyond the X's and O's. We're talking trust, respect, and leadership. Three pillars of any successful franchise being completely shattered. And when it's your franchise pass, Russia's sending this message. The team has a serious crisis on its hands. It's no longer just about football, it's about identity. To understand just how seismic this rift is, you have to recognize who Myles Garrett is to the Cleveland Browns. He's not just the heart of their defense, he's been the face of resilience, discipline, and elite performance since arriving in 2017. He's played through injuries, led quietly but effectively, and never shied away from accountability. So for someone like that to essentially say, I'm done with this quarterback, you better believe it's not coming from a place of pettiness or ego. This is bigger than that. It suggests that something fundamental is broken between these two players. And in a league where locker room unity is everything, this kind of rift can derail not just a season, but a franchise's entire future. Garrett walking away from Watson is as symbolic as it is practical, a rejection of what Deshaun represents in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson's time in Cleveland has been rocky from the start. Let's not sugarcoat it. From the massive, fully guaranteed contract, a league-altering deal, to the off-field controversies that surrounded him when the Browns brought him in, Watson has been a lightning rod for criticism. And unfortunately, his on-field play hasn't been enough to silence the noise. Struggles with consistency, injuries, and questions about his leadership have lingered throughout his tenure. Now, with this latest twist, the alienation of a cornerstone like Garrett, the Watson experiment feels like it's not just failing, but imploding. And if the Browns front office is paying attention, they know this isn't just a Myles Garrett problem. This is a team-wide culture issue, one that could cost them much more than wins and losses. You've got to wonder what the locker room looks like right now. Picture this. On one side, you've got players who've bled for this team, built relationships over years, and likely stand with Garrett, a homegrown leader. On the other, you have a quarterback with a $230 million contract brought in as the supposed missing piece to a Super Bowl puzzle, now standing on what feels like an island. Can this team really function with that kind of division at its core? Let's be real. Teams have survived inner conflict before, but when the fracture runs this deep, and it involves your two highest profile players on opposite sides of the ball, reconciliation isn't just difficult, it might be impossible. Something's gotta give, and fast. Sources close to the Browns have hinted that this situation has been simmering for a while. There were team meetings where voices were raised, tensions that never cooled, and a power dynamic that became unsustainable. Apparently, Garrett had been trying to play the good soldier for months, keeping the peace, focusing on his craft. But something, we still don't know exactly what, finally broke that resolve. Some insiders say Garrett questioned Watson's leadership and commitment during a crucial stretch last season. Others say there was a personal disagreement. That spiraled out of control. Either way, the result is the same. Garrett is done. And unless the Browns can pull off a miracle behind the scenes, we're heading toward a very public and very messy standoff. Let's talk implications. If Garrett refuses to play with Watson and neither side is willing to budge, the Browns face an impossible decision. Trade Deshaun Watson and eat one of the biggest dead cap hits in NFL history. Or move Garrett, the face of their defense and arguably their most irreplaceable player. Neither option is clean. Neither will make fans happy. But something has to give. You can't have your defensive captain openly refusing to take the field with your quarterback and expect to compete in the AFC. And let's not forget the locker room fallout. Players are going to pick sides. The coaching staff is going to be stretched thin trying to hold it all together. This is how teams implode. Not from lack of talent, but from internal chaos. And now everyone's watching. The media, the fans, the league, all eyes are on Cleveland. Front office decisions made in the next few weeks could define the next 5 years of this franchise. Do they back Garrett and risk another high-profile quarterback hunt? Or do they double down on Watson, praying he can finally live up to the price they paid, even if it means alienating their defensive MVP? There's also head coach Kevin Stefanski, who now faces a leadership crisis of his own. Can he hold the locker room together? Can he broker peace? Or is this a signal that his time is running out too? Because make no mistake, and this isn't just about two players anymore. It's about the culture and credibility of the entire organization. Fans are understandably torn. Some stand firmly with Myles Garrett, citing his loyalty, work ethic, and embodiment of what it means to be a Brown. Others argue that Watson deserves more time, that the team has invested too much to walk away now, but most are just heartbroken. After years of rebuilding, after finally assembling what looked like a championship caliber roster, to see it crumble from within is devastating, especially because this isn't about injuries or bad play calling. This is about trust. And once that's broken, it's not easily repaired. Cleveland deserves better. Its fans deserve better. And unless something drastic changes, it's hard to see a way forward where this team reaches the heights it once dreamed of. So where do we go from here? That's the million-dollar question. Maybe cooler heads prevail. Maybe someone steps in. A coach, a veteran, a GM, and mends the fence between Garrett and Watson. But if this standstill continues, we could be witnessing the end of an era before it even began. This was supposed to be Cleveland's time, a defense led by Garrett, an offense powered by Watson. But egos, decisions, or maybe even personal values have torn it all apart. The Browns are officially at a crossroads, and if they don't choose wisely and quickly, they might not recover. As always, we'll be watching, bringing you every twist and turn. But one thing is certain, the Browns locker room just became the hottest, most volatile story in football. Stay tuned. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!